Good afternoon, everyone, Cold Lake First Nation members. My name is Rick Janvier. I am the band administrator with Cold Lake First Nations. I'm here with my researcher consultant, Scott Buchanan. He's the community safety and security consultant, working on a program deliverable to assist us with any type of issues that the First Nation might have regarding drugs, any type of any other factors that affect us in terms of our lifestyle or operations. And Scott Buchanan is here today. He can introduce himself, give you more details in terms of who he is and what his objectives here to do, what his objectives here today. And we'll go from there, and then we'll give you more little information at the end in terms of some of the engagement sessions and other activities that will be happening regarding this and some other related information within our nation. With that, I want to pass it on to Scott. Scott Buchanan.
Thanks, Rick. And thank you to the people of Cold Lake First Nations for having me here on the nation. I acknowledge that I'm on Treaty 6 traditional lands, and also I acknowledge that I'm a settler here. So thank you for the welcome and for engaging me in this project. Just a bit of background with regards to who I am. I'm a retired RCMP officer after 25 years of service in Alberta and Northwest Territories. Cold Lake First Nations engaged me actually prior to my retirement, and it kind of helped my retirement along. But in order to address the issues of safety and security on the nation, and so I was happy to, I guess, join in with Chief Counsel and the leadership of the nation to get going. I have a desire to help, and my philosophy on life is to engage in peace and friendship in all things. So with that, I think what I'll do is I'll just get into talking about where the project has come to, what it's about, and where we're going. So the scope of the project initially was a one-year term where I could do some research and look into the feasibility of obtaining a self-administered First Nations police service, which is like a tribal police. That was a 6-phase step-by-step process, and we're in phase 3. There was this, starting up was organizing it and meeting with the chief and council and seeing what the goals and objectives were to be with this, and then researching and finding out more about what's going on in other places where there is self-administered policing, and compiling a package, bringing it back to chief and council and to leadership, and making a decision on how to proceed with policing on the nation. That was the long-term goal, sort of the first pillar. The second pillar was actually with regards to what's going on now on the nation. If we at Cold Lake First Nations move towards a self-administered First Nations police, that's going to take some time. So there's, whether it's 2 or 3 years, there's everything that happens between now and then. So with that in mind, there's the second pillar was with regards to community safety initiatives, as well as engaging the RCMP in their current role on the nation. With regards to policing on the nation, the RCMP this year are celebrating, I guess, the 150th year of since they stood up back in 1873, and that's a long history of working with First Nations, and there's a genuine desire to work with the nation and have good working relationships. So in order to enhance that, I've been working as a liaison to, I guess, foster that relationship as much as I can. With regards to self-administered First Nations policing, that's a new realm. for this area. There are others in the province that have been stood up and have been engaged in policing First Nations for quite some time. Those include the Blood Tribe way down south, Tsuut'ina Nation Police Service down by Calgary, and the Lakeshore Regional Police, which run out of Driftpile, and they are a regional service that police 5 nations. And actually, right now, Siksika is standing up their own self-administered police First Nations, and that's First Nations police, and that is a process that they expect will take about 2 years. It's encouraging. There's lots of activity going on. There's an appetite on behalf of the province to support First Nations policing, as well as the federal government, and they're actually moving towards legislation that will make First Nations policing an essential service, which is good news with regards to funding. Here at Cold Lake, there are options. There's initially we're looking at the individual nation, Cold Lake on their own, having their own dedicated police service. More recently, Tribal Chiefs Ventures has entered into research and looking at a regional model of policing that would include the 6 nations in TCVI. So that there's more to be announced on that, and what I'm hoping for is to engage the community, because I said it many times, but I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or how to do it. I'm just here to gather information in order to help leadership make an informed decision about which way to proceed. And that's going to take word from the people. There's more on that a little bit later. So right now, in working with the RCMP, there are some efforts being made. For example, recently there was a tour at the detachment for Chief and Council in Edmund, where the RCMP supplied the stew and we supplied the bannock, and they had a tour and a bit of got a better understanding about the building and what goes on at the building there at the detachment. Also, improvements in communication. I think that's key in working with any police service, including setting up a community consultative group, or what's commonly known as a policing committee. And I'm really looking forward to that, and helping the community have a stronger voice in letting the police know what the community wants, what the community needs, as well as learning about the police and their limitations and what they can do on the nation to help out. There's also been a move towards more cultural awareness. As you can imagine, the RCMP get posted here mostly from Regina, coming from all points across Canada, and some people may not have had much experience with First Nations policing or Indigenous culture. So recently, I think it was probably about 6 weeks ago, there was the first session of CLFN 101 that was delivered to many RCMP officers, staff, and guards, employees at the detachment, which was very well received by the police, and I think somebody said to me it was like a real eye opener. So that's a good news story, and we do hope to have more. The detachment here is asking for some more, so that's good news. Also, we're promoting attendance of police at cultural events such as the youth camp, culture camp, and even sporting activities. Some hands-on projects that I've been involved with and either are under development or underway include a missing persons response pack, and that is basically what to do if somebody's missing. Of course, it's a time of uncertainty and fear and chaos, and so what I hope for is that the family, the loved ones of the missing person, can have something to lean on to help guide them through the process, and that is under development. There's quite a few resources out there, but where do you find them and how do you access them? That's where hopefully we'll be able to make a bit stronger of a link. I already mentioned the CLFN 101. We've applied through FCSS for a crime prevention grant, and hopefully that comes through. And with that, there's a lot of programs and also relationship building that I hope will occur, and strengthening of interagency support and wraparound services with a focus to crime prevention. And that includes everything from youth to elders to mental health to social programs, etc. The community consultative group, that's underway, and I'll be looking for people who are interested to sit on that committee that would meet once a month or once every 2 months, depending on what the people want, in order to meet with the police and talk about current events and also planning for the future and the safety of the nation. I do have a policing survey that's going to soon be added to the electronic social media and websites that will give a voice to the people. The future of policing, well, actually, I'll start at the beginning. The current state of policing is challenging. And in order to shape the future, it's important that the people have a voice. So there's going to be a survey circulating around on the website and Facebook and whatnot. There'll also be paper copies available at the front reception at the band office here, and they can be filled out and left with the front office staff, and then I'll be collecting them. And you might even be able to win a pair of tickets to the Oilers game against the Jets on the 3rd of March. If you fill that out and submit it. And finally, program called Home Phone for Good, and I've started with this back in September, and it was an initiative where the band came together with TELUS and the RCMP to help people who don't have home phones on the nation get them. And the stimulus for this was it started down south in Eden Valley, where somebody had to run almost half a kilometer to call for 911 to get help. And the police, the RCMP in that region, called TELUS and said, there's got to be something we can do. And so that program has stood up, and we've got it here on Cold Lake First Nations, and we recently finished phase 1, delivering 43 phones and hubs to families here in Cold Lake First Nations between eBay, Little Cold Lake, and Legoff. And we're moving to survey another 55 houses with a view to servicing them if they need the service. And so if you do know anybody that could benefit from this program, there's John Pichet is actively involved in this program and is taking calls to have that service provided. And if all else fails, you can call the front office and get John's number from the front office in order for him to stop by and do a survey with you or your loved one or friend, family that could use this this service. So that's it in a nutshell. It's a lot of information, and this is basically just a kind of a heads up about what's going on. But we do have future planned in order to engage with the community and hear from you. And that I hope to meet with the elders group, with the youth group, as well as the general public in both Legoff and in eBay. And over to you, Rick.
Okay. Thank you, Scott, for that information in regards to the program, the Community Security and Safety. Like I said, it's a very important program for our community members. In order to initiate and engage, we have a couple sessions that are currently planned. We have a community information session for the general public here at the CNC Chambers on February 8th from 6 to 9 p.m. We'll have coffee and light refreshments will be provided, so it's important that you're available to that. Also, we're going to have on English Bay Open House on February 15th, 2023. Not only with Scott will be there also in community security and safety to get information from English Bay members, but also to display in terms of what some of the initiatives that are working within our area. And also during that consultation with some of our programs and services that we at Cold Lake First Nation are providing. And that's going to be held on February 15th, I think from 10 to about 4 We're also going to invite victim services, and there's also going to be a consultation to some of the annexation that's going to be happening just outside English Bay, but that'll be there, and I'm trying to invite them to that open house. As you can see, there's going to be some opportunities for your input, which is going to be very valuable, and community participation is very important. With that, I'd like to thank Scott and thank everyone for coming and listening to what some of the community security and safety initiatives are happening within our nation. Thank you very much. Have a good day.